Good morning, good afternoon. Dear students, in the last class, lecture 2, we have talked in detail about the various ferrous metals, and lastly we have seen the different types of cast iron, that is grey cast iron, white cast iron, and malleable cast iron and nodular or ductile cast iron. Now, in the lecture 3 on engineering materials, we are talking about the non-ferrous metals. And before starting the non-ferrous metals, I would like to give a simple recap about. Earlier we have seen the comparison between the metals and non-metals, and among the metals, the various metals we have talked about, and in that ferrous metals in detail we have gone for. The different metals are iron, steel, copper, aluminum, zinc, etc. And under the non-metals, the natural non-metals, wood, rubber, glass, emery, diamond, etc. Whereas synthetic non-metals, polymers, plastics, thermoplastic, thermosetting plastic, and other ceramics comes under non-metals. Then other engineering materials, the composite materials and smart materials. This classification also we have seen, and brief discussion also we have done on that. Now, after completing the details of ferrous metals, let us talk about the non-ferrous metals. And before starting the non-ferrous metals, I would like to tell you that why should we go for non-ferrous metals, whereas the ferrous metals are having good mechanical properties. But for the engineering purpose, only the mechanical properties are not important. There are many other properties which are very important. Therefore, what various reasons are there that we should move towards non-ferrous metals? That means, in other words, what we can say is, what is the importance of non-ferrous metals over the ferrous metals, or the comparison between ferrous metals and the non-ferrous metals, or the advantages of non-ferrous metals over the ferrous metals. We can say that these non-ferrous metals have good strength to weight ratio. This ferrous metals is over. Okay, we can move towards non-ferrous metals, and under these non-ferrous metals we have to go in detail of aluminium, brass and bronze. These three are there as per your syllabus. Now, under this, why we should prefer non-ferrous metals, under what conditions? That means, what is the preference of these non-ferrous metals, or how it is advantageous over the ferrous metals in what various means. In that, the first what we can say is good strength to weight ratio. Because the ferrous metals are heavy, वजनदार होते हैं, बोला ना मैं लास्ट क्लास भी. ये नॉन फेरस मेटल्स कम वजन रखते हैं. फिर मेटल्स और नॉन मेटल्स में देखें तो नॉन मेटल्स बहुत ही वेटलेस होते हैं. Anyhow, when we are comparing between the ferrous metals and the non-ferrous metals, in that also we will see that there will be a good strength to weight ratio, and what we can say is light in weight in comparison with ferrous metals. In comparison with ferrous metals. Then there will be very good resistance in these non-ferrous metals. There is very good resistance to corrosion. Therefore, good resistance to corrosion. Therefore, very oftenly, whenever some chemicals are there, or some very oftenly, rather than chemicals, where hydraulic equipments are there, then non-ferrous metals will be preferred over ferrous metals. Because of water, the ferrous metals will corrode very soon, whereas non-ferrous metals are corrosion resistant. And they have high electrical conductivity and also high thermal conductivity. That is why, because of this high electrical conductivity, it doesn't mean that the ferrous metals are non-conductive. Yeah, all the metals are conductive. Conductor of electricity and heat, both. But these non-ferrous metals are have much higher conductivity as compared to ferrous metals. That is why you have seen the electrical cables, etc., the electrical wires, windings, all this is done by using the copper, which is a non-ferrous metal, or by using aluminium, which is a non-ferrous metals. Now, another important point is there is ease of fabrication. By using these non-ferrous metals. Therefore, any fabrication that could be done by brass or aluminium, etc., that will be easier as compared to ferrous metals. Moreover, there is no magnetic nature, means non-ferrous metals are non-magnetic. Non-magnetic. These are non-magnetic. These are the various reasons or various advantages of non-ferrous metals over the ferrous metals. Like that, there will be some disadvantages also. The mechanical strength and mechanical properties of non-ferrous metals will be less as compared to ferrous metals. Ferrous metals possesses high mechanical properties as compared to non-ferrous metals. Okay. Now, what are the different non-ferrous metals? There are many: aluminium, copper, zinc, tin, nickel, tungsten, molybdenum, cobalt, etc. There are many non-ferrous metals which we can list down. Okay. Now, as per your syllabus, we have to talk mainly about the aluminium and brass and bronze. Okay. Now, when we are talking about the aluminium, aluminium is a very good conductor of heat and electricity. It is very light in weight and many of the castings for any fabrication purpose can be had very easily by melting off this aluminium, because its melting point is less as compared to the ferrous metals. And when we are talking about, and this aluminium is very good electrical conductor, therefore many of the electrical wires, etc., that will be fabricated with the help of aluminium. And it is non-corrosive also, highly non-corrosive. When it's and when we are talking about this aluminium, many of aluminium alloys are in use, like aluminium copper alloys, aluminium silicon alloys, and aluminium zinc alloys in engineering purpose. If we talk about the alloys, before that, the simple properties of aluminum we can write: low density. Aluminum and its alloys have low density, lightweight, high electrical conductivity and thermal conductivity, non-toxic, non-magnetic, and highly ductile or high level of ductility it possesses, high level of ductility and malleability, and malleability. And also we can say that it possesses good machinability property, means easy to machine, easy to cut, easy to give a required shape. Therefore, accordingly, good machinability you can say. As per these properties it possesses, the aluminum possesses, we can say that accordingly there will be applications, engineering applications of this aluminum. And by providing some alloys, by having the addition of alloying elements, these properties can be further enhanced. Therefore, the alloying elements, the aluminum copper alloys, if you talk about, generally, is it clear to all of you? Generally, the aluminum copper alloys, what are given here, alloys, in this, copper is about 2.5 to 5% added into aluminum. Remaining all is aluminum. Very small amount of silicon, iron, magnesium, manganese, chromium, zinc, etc. will also be added. No, with the addition of these alloying elements into aluminum, the alloy what we get, it is generally called as, a common name is duralumin, and it is duralumin. It is very good corrosion resistant, high strength. By addition of these elements, iron, magnesium, iron, chromium, etc., the strength will also increases, and because of this high strength and good resistance to corrosion, good resistance to corrosion, this will be used in making rivets. The application of this one is making rivets, electrical cables, and automobile components. These are the applications of this particular alloy, the major applications you can say. Then the next alloy what is given here, that is aluminum silicon alloy. These are the various alloys of aluminum I am talking about. Aluminum silicon alloys. In this particular alloy, 12.5% of silicon is added, and by addition of this silicon 12.5%, remaining all is aluminum. The fluidity of aluminum is increased, enhanced. Therefore, fluidity increased. This property is enhanced. Therefore, we can say it is good corrosion resistant. That means the remaining properties will be remaining same. Good corrosion resistant, good forgeability. That means casting can be done easily, and low coefficient of thermal expansion, and it is used for making applications. Marine parts, food handling equipment, and various fabrication castings that could also be done, because there will be a good fluidity, that is the fluidity is increased here, therefore the casting can be done easily. Then the next is aluminum zinc alloy. In this you can say 5.6% of zinc is there, but this is not only the addition, there are some other additives will also be there, nearly 0.6%, but that is less in percentage. 0.6% magnesium and 0.5% chromium and 0.2% titanium. These will also be added to get aluminum zinc alloy, and with this what we are getting is, because chromium and titanium is also added, therefore mechanical properties are enhanced, therefore enhanced mechanical properties we will get. As the mechanical properties of aluminum are less, therefore, to enhance it, chromium and titanium is also added, as well as the zinc, that is 5.6%. This alloy is having good wear resistance along with the corrosion resistance, and have wear resistant and good machinability property will be there. Okay, is it clear to all of you? Therefore, this particular alloy can be used because the mechanical properties are also enhanced. Therefore, now it is light in weight, resistant to corrosion, resistance to wear. Okay. Therefore, it could be used for making the aircraft parts applications. Aircraft parts. Turret housing, any housing can be used, and radio equipments, etc. Radio equipment. These are the applications of this particular alloy, that is aluminum zinc alloy. In this way, what is the importance of aluminum and its alloys, and what are various applications, and by addition of different alloys, what properties are enhanced, that you have seen. Is it okay? This is enough. Then other two non-ferrous metals also we have to go through, that is brass and bronze. Brass and bronze are copper based alloys. See, aluminum based alloys you have seen. Now copper and its alloys you can see. Main thing, copper, when you talk about the copper, the properties of copper you can take down. It is having high good electrical conductivity, good thermal conductivity, corrosion resistance, machinability and ease of fabrication, etc. These are the various properties of copper, and these properties are further enhanced by addition of these alloying elements. Therefore, the two major types of alloys of copper are brass and bronze. What is a brass? Copper alloy. It is in which addition is done, that is zinc is taken nearly 20% to 46%. When zinc is added, 20% to 46%, then various grades of brass will be getting, and then they possesses the properties like good corrosive, enhanced properties of good corrosive resistance, high ductility, good strength, appears yellow in color, therefore this could be used for various applications like in manufacture of bullet capsules, military ammunition, storage batteries, energy storage batteries, radiator fitting, as good resistant to corrosion also. Therefore, radiator fitting, ship parts, pump parts, coins, medals, many properties are there. Coins also fabricated, manufactured, medals because they have good aesthetic look, and musical instruments, screws, architectural work, etc. Musical instruments, screws, architectural components for good looking or the aesthetic looking, etc. There are many other applications of this brass. These are the major applications. You have seen, no? Because of good corrosive resistance and good strength. These are the applications you can have. That is bullet capsules, military ammunition, storage batteries, radiator, ship parts, pump parts, ship parts, pump parts, radiator fittings. Okay, ship parts, pump parts, coins, medals, musical instruments, screws will also be made where there may be a possibility of rusting. Then ferrous based alloys will not be used, or ferrous, iron, cast iron, etc. will not be used. This will be used for fabrication of the screws, etc. and for various architectural work because of good in look. Then the next is the bronze. We should talk about the bronze as per your syllabus, which is also a copper alloy. Copper alloy. The alloying elements in bronze are, because the base metal is the copper, and other alloying elements present in bronze are zinc 2 to 6%, tin 10 to 30%, beryllium, aluminium are also present nearly. Beryllium, aluminium, etc. also present nearly 4 to 11%. Okay. Now with these addition of alloying elements, the property of copper is further enhanced in its toughness. Therefore, it gets high toughness. Low coefficient of friction. High corrosion resistance. Good fatigue and creep resistant. Good fatigue and creep resistance. These are the properties which are further enhanced by addition of these alloying elements. That is zinc, tin, beryllium, etc. Beryllium, aluminium, etc. Okay. Now then, with these enhanced properties, we can see that the various engineering materials and equipments that can be fabricated or manufactured by using this bronze are the applications you can write. Making ball bearings, balls and bearings also, steam pipe fitting, because good corrosion resistance is there. Tanks, marine structure, marine structure, and many of the hydraulic equipments that can be manufactured by these nuts and bolts, diaphragm, surgical instruments. Surgical instruments, firing pins, etc. These are the various applications of drones. With this brief discussion, because as I told you, material science is an ocean. Here we are talking as if an introduction to material science for engineering application. That's all. Therefore, these are the brief details of the various non-ferrous metals. Now we will talk about the non-metals. Under the metals, we have talked about what are the ferrous metals, what are the non-ferrous metals, their comparison also. And earlier already you have seen the comparison of metals and non-metals. Now we will talk about some of the non-metals. We will take some detailed description of non-metals. There are certain natural non-metals, naturally occurring, and some are synthetic. Under the naturally occurring non-metals, we can take down wood, rubber, glass, emery, that is an abrasive. This emery is actually naturally occurring aluminum oxide, which acts as abrasive. Diamond, oil, silicon, etc. Whereas in synthetic, we can take down first plastics. Under these plastics, we can say there are thermoplastics, and thermosetting plastics. Then there are polymers, ceramics, cermets, glass, glass fiber, etc. Okay. Here under plastics, thermoplastic and thermosetting plastics. There are thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics, PVC, polyethylene. Actually, these are plastics and polymers, and these thermoplastic, these are easily recyclable. That means once it is used, it can be recycled, and further granules can be formed, and that can be used for further fabrication purpose. Those are thermoplastics. Whereas thermosetting plastics, which cannot be used. What is the difference between actually thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics is? The thermoplastics are that which gets softened on heating, application of heat. Whereas thermosetting plastic are those which are getting hardened on application of heat. just like epoxy resin, etc. Whereas in thermoplastic, you can say polyethylene, polyvinyl chloride, etc. Okay, these are the plastic materials under non-metals. Then there are also ceramics materials which are also non-metals, and under these ceramics, there are various materials we may use. Glass is there, also a ceramic. Aluminum oxide, silicon oxides, etc. can also be used. Okay, but apart from that one special alloying element, you can say, in other words, or a composite material, you can say, that is the cermex. These cermex also a non-metal. Actually, it is a combination of two elements, ceramic and metal. Ceramic plus metal. It is actually a composite of ceramic with metals, and in this one being oxide, carbide, boride, oxide, carbide, boride, etc. Organic compound, inorganic compound, and other will be a metallic binder. It is a ceramic. Ceramic may be, what are the ceramics? Those may be oxides, carbides, borides, etc. Those are the ceramics. And another material which is there under ceramics is, what is that? That is a metal which acts as a binder. Therefore, metallic binder, you can say. Because under these ceramics, the granules will be separate. Therefore, to make it and give a required shape, some binding material is required. Therefore, that binder is a metal binder, and it may be a metal like nickel, cobalt, molybdenum, etc. These metals will be used as a binder to these ceramic granules, and hence the product or the composite so obtained is called cermex. It has its own very important applications, as its properties are high temperature resistance, very high hardness, and very superior wear and corrosion resistance, and resistant to impact loads, resistance it incurs, it contains resistance to high impact loads, and high impact loads as well as high thermal shocks. sudden variation in temperature it can withstand, and also light in weight. Therefore, the applications of these ceramics are engine parts applications. Engine parts, resistors, capacitors, vacuum tube, spacecraft shielding. Hello. Spacecraft shielding. As it got high resistance to thermal shock. High resistance to thermal shocks. And also it is having some applications in biomedical applications, and also these are used for cutting tools and cutting equipment. These are the various important applications of ceramics. What are the ceramics? You understood? No. There are ceramics. Most of the properties will be there in ceramics, but binding matter is there. Therefore, the binding is done by using the metal like nickel, cobalt, molybdenum, etc. Therefore, by having these ceramics are prepared, giving a particular peculiar shape, and hence all these applications can be achieved. Okay, is it clear to all of you? With this, you understood what are the non-metals, the plastics, polymers, and the ceramics as well as the ceramics, etc. Now we will be talking about the various composite materials. What are the composite materials and how the composite materials are classified? And what do you mean by composite materials? When we are talking about composite materials, there is more than one material. Okay? No. Here, there will be a matrix material where it has a higher percentage in the composite, and other is the reinforcing material. Reinforcement material. In order to enhance the properties and strength of the composite. Now, what could be the matrix materials? The matrix materials may be polymer, metal or ceramic. If on the basis of matrix material, it can be classified into polymer matrix composite, metal matrix composite, ceramic matrix composite. Okay, that is named as PMC, MMC and CMC, etc. Again we can give the types or classification of these composite materials on the basis of the reinforcement material used On that basis, we can say these composites with reinforcement material as when it is used as particulates are fiber reinforcement this fiber may be a glass fiber or any other polymer fiber etc. Also metal fiber. Fiber reinforcement particulate in the form of small particulates, particulate reinforcement, and also laminate reinforcement. Laminate means the various materials will be taken in the form of layers, as plywood etc. You know, isn't in plywood different layers are there. Like that, in the layers this reinforcement material will be there. Okay. Therefore, we can say on this basis, on the basis of matrix material, the matrix material may be a polymer, it may be a metal, it may be a ceramic. Now in each of these, there may be a reinforcement material either in the form of flakes or in the form of particulates or in the form of powder or in the form of choked fiber or platelets etc. When it is put in any of these one, then that is known as particulate polymer matrix composite, particulate metal matrix composite, and particulate ceramic matrix composite, like that. If again this reinforcement is taken in the form of fiber, that fibers may be a glass fiber or any polymer fiber or any metal fiber etc. This fiber may be a continuous fiber or it may be a discontinuous fiber and with a different orientation etc. And on that basis a particular polymer matrix composite with glass fiber reinforcement. It is like that. Okay. Metal matrix composite with this fiber reinforcement, ceramic matrix composite with this reinforcement etc. Right. Now the another type of reinforcement is laminate type. In this laminate type, as the example I have given to you, the plywood etc. Like that, aluminum laminates, aramid aluminum laminates are very common and famous for having the aircraft skin, you know. Therefore, we can say aramid aluminum laminate. Like that, the different types of laminates can also be taken with different matrix material. Okay, is it clear to all of you? What is composite material, you understood? The composite materials itself could be a subject, but here the introduction of the composite materials you understood. That means combination of two material. One will be the matrix material, which will be higher in percentage. Okay, whereas the another is reinforcement material, which is less in percentage. And this reinforcement material is used in order to strengthen and improve the qualities or properties of that matrix material. Okay. On the basis of matrix material, the different types can be classified, and on the basis of reinforcement material also we can take different, or each of the matrix material with these various reinforcements we can differentiate or we can refer any particular composite. Clear to all of you? Now we will move towards smart materials. What I would like to tell, it's enough now, because in the next lecture, inshallah, we will finish off your engineering materials and start your metal joining processes. Okay. Now engineering materials, what more we have to talk about is smart materials. In that especially we have to talk, as per your syllabus, piezoelectric material and shape memory materials. That's all. Whereas other materials, many materials are there in smart materials. Two more are given here. The example, fiber optics and electro-rheological fluids. Those are also given as the example of these smart materials. So anyhow, brief explanation of the piezoelectric material and the shape memory materials we will take in the next class. Now what I would like to tell you is, I want to summarize today's class. What we have learnt earlier, previous 2 classes and 3 classes is what are the metals and non-metals, comparison between metals and non-metals. Then under the metals, again we have taken the ferrous metals and non-ferrous metals. What is the importance of ferrous metals and what are the various metals, iron based or ferrous based metals, steels, etc. The different types of steels we have taken there, and also the cast iron and different types of cast iron we have studied their properties and their composition as well as their application. Then in non-ferrous metals, again we have talked about mainly aluminum and copper and aluminum alloys also, and various aluminum alloys we have studied and their composition, their application and the enhancement of the property by the addition of alloy element in aluminum. And what is the importance of these non-ferrous metals we have seen. Then the 2 important alloys of copper we have taken, that is brass and bronze as per your syllabus, and that also we have studied what is the composition of this brass and bronze and what are the enhanced properties with this addition, the properties enhanced in copper, and also various applications of this brass and bronze we have studied. Then we have talked about the non-metals. Under the non-metals, the various non-metals we have taken. Then we have moved towards under non-metals we have taken detail of cermets, etc. also. What are the cermets? Okay, actually cermets, instead of a non-metal, what we can say is it is a composite. Okay, whereas this composite is ceramic plus metal binder. Okay, the ceramic material is bound by addition of the metal like zinc, etc. Any of the metal, zinc, cobalt, molybdenum, etc. they bound together in order to give a required shape and make use of that for a particular application. The cermets, that is also a composite. Whereas under these non-metals, what are the plastics, polymers? Under these plastics, thermoplastic and thermostatic plastics you have seen. Then coming over to the composite materials, we have studied about the matrix material and the reinforcement material, and on the basis of matrix material how these composites are classified into PMC, MMC and CMC. And again this reinforcement material that could be put in different forms like particulars, fiber reinforcement and laminates, etc. And this could be taken with various matrix composite, and hence the full name can be changed accordingly. Therefore the another classification can be attained like polymer matrix composite with glass fiber reinforcement. It is like that. Okay. This is clear to all of you. What are the composites that also you understood. Now with the help of this composite, as per the requirement or the application, we can fabricate a required composite depending on the need of the application. Then some of the smart materials, the examples we have given: piezoelectric materials, fiber optics and electro-rheological fluids and shape memory materials. Now in this piezoelectric materials and no, that is not there in your syllabus. Shape memory materials, these 2 are there as per your syllabus, and that we are taking in the next class along with the semiconductor material and insulating materials. With that will be finishing of your engineering material part. Okay, thank you very much.